Hi, this is Shyamal Chandra for Longtail News episode number 2 for 2024, and today's date is September 24th, 2024. Now, today's topic is going to be generative coding. Now, you all seen these demos of people using these recursive algorithms with multiple agents or single agents that are able to create code on the fly. You just give them a prompt and they give you the code. And the code is not factored, it's not following a particular type of design pattern. It is not following a certain type of test case bulletproofness to unit tests, to regression tests, to UX tests, to A/B testing. But it shows you some boilerplate code that you can get your job going from. And that's what they call generative coding. Now, generative coding has been around for quite some time since these chatterbots came out. For instance, OpenAI, Anthropomorphic, Poe, and others. Okay. Now, why is this very interesting to us? Because it allows even non-programmers to get into the field of programming, and even programmers to become even better programmers. Go to places where they've not gone before, where there's no documentation whatsoever, or the number of examples are very sparse and are hard to find in a maybe one version of an example on Stack Overflow versus multiple examples depending on what words you use. So this is what I tell all my friends, that now is the moment to get involved into learning about words that form those prompts. And that is very important, because if you don't know these words from the unabridged dictionary that are very, very critical to tuning the right parameters using an unsupervised algorithm, that will be very necessary for work purposes or personal purposes or business purposes, wherever you go for the next, from now on, it's going to be pretty much computers are our friends, and especially these type of generative coding agents are our friends to get us to a critical path that's with minimum number of word length to get the job done. Now, you might be wondering, like, why should I trust some chatterbot like OpenAI or Anthropomorphic? They are industrial grade. Most of the time, they do not hallucinate, and most of the time they have guardrails, as far as I know. And now there's new versions that have come out since then that are even more creative, have more the level of a PhD. So you don't even need to go to PhD program and get an advisor and learn all those things. You can just learn from this chatterbot. And this chatterbot will teach you everything, because it's gone through crawl of the World Wide Web, a certain percentage of the World Wide Web, and a certain number of multimedia objects or files using not subsymbolic and symbolic algorithms. Now, what's so cool about this is that there's so much you can offer. You can even imagine in the future taking one sentence and converting it to a full-fledged iOS or Mac OS X app. That is very sensational, if you could do the whole process with just one prompt. Now, or it can give you multiple candidates, and then you can choose from those candidates what you want for a Mac OS X or iOS project final template, in terms of UX, in terms of backend, and in terms of controller code, so the model view controller. with all the database representation with the SQL, core data, and Swift data. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is like, how can you tell the difference between code that's written by a human or code written by a machine? Now, that's going to be a big tough problem, because you can easily write into one of these code gens that I want to have comments for every single line in line, that explain clearly in one sentence that line of code, and it does a sensational job. Now that is what you call very good work. I mean, and you can do that multiple times while you're writing the code, or while you're using prompt engineering to write the code. But you have to make it manageable. You cannot add multiple features at the same time. One feature, check in your code. One feature, check in your code. Make sure you comment it. Check in your code, and then you can always go back in time if something goes wrong. So this is a really exciting time for computer scientists. Even non-computer scientists can take it to the next level with natural language prompts to code. It's going to be exciting because you're going to have all these kids that are 5 years old or 4 years old getting involved into OpenAI. Instead of using OpenAI for talking, sending formal letters, or doing things quickly that have a certain precision that they need without wasting too much time, like creating a legal document, creating a letter, creating a request. All these things can be done with a chatterbot. And this AGI component is so exciting for everyone. It's getting me excited. I mean, I'm really excited for in the future. You can just give it a PDF document, which has your whole spec according to a certain type of standard, and then it spits out the code perfectly done with comments, everything, documentation in like a Java doc format and other things. That would be sensational, and that would change the history, and it will provide multiple candidates so you can choose from them which UX you want, what type of data model you want, what type of controller code, what type of back-end code you want. Because the front-end code can be changed, so you can always mix and match. And I think this is going to be really cool for programmers like me to come up with, use these foundational chatterbots and use them to build very powerful tools on top, and recursively apply the same thing again and again and again and again on data. So you can go from something that's generic to specific, something from that's abstract to very specialized, without worrying about things like generics or templates or virtual functions, but worry about things like making sure that everything is perfect, even though we have to be experts in that programming language, or be experts in the compiler that's being used to compile those programs for that language. There are lots of work that's been done on that. This is not to say this is going to be a pivotal time for this coding or generative coding. I'm really excited because when I was young, all there was nothing but books, and that's all you had to go by. Then it switched to some Google expert help on Stack Overflow and other places like SourceForge, and then it became interactive ones like Aardvark, and then you had GitHub. Can't come out, so you can post issues if you can't run someone's code in a repo. It's about to get very, very interesting for everyone, not just computer scientists, not just software engineers, not just technologists, but all sorts of people, humanities people, and will get involved into programming like they've never done before. And they tried to do this earlier with processing, from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, this Ben Fry and Casey Reese, and they did lots of good stuff. And now for artists, that was considered the bona fide standard. Now you can run on top of, you can imagine running on top of processing something like a Chat GPT or a Claude, Opus, or Sonnet. This is going to be a game changer for everyone. And and or also even using the open source variants like Llama 3.1 or 3. Whatever they have, that are open source and they can run locally on your computer. This is just a very good time to think about what do you want to get accomplished, how do you want to change the world, and how many apps do you want to deliver that will get the things that you want to get in your book of achievements done. What type of code do you want to share with others in your GitHub repo that are fundamentally different than most people. And now the final thing I wanted to discuss was why did we get to this point? How did we get to this point? Well, there's lots of things, because everyone wanted to have one of those, HAL-like agents back from the 2001 Space Odyssey days. And this has gotten us to some new venture, and people are putting their whole career on this prompt engineering framework. It is amazingly cool how much time people have put into this work. And it's going to bring lots of dividend back to the end users. Even on Colab, you can do it on Colab, You just write the line, it generates the source code. But it's not robust. It's not checking corner cases. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not refactored. It's not following a design pattern. It's just normal, unhardened code that is not production grade. Now, just so you can is there any way to halt? Is there anyone guarantee your halting problem on something like a chatterbot? So you come back, you say, give me one day to do grandmaster coding, or give me 1 hour to do novice coding. You want the grandmaster coding. So give it 1 day to do grandmaster coding, and make it so crystal clear, every single line with inline comments. That, I think, is the future of chatterbots such as the ones that are available on the market today. And I am excited because it makes my life much better than relying on the nonlinear or linear or non-deterministic time it takes me to get a response back on Stack Overflow or GitHub issues. This is guaranteed to give you results instantaneously if it knows the right result, or it might give you an error, something that adds a feature but then removes an error. But then what do you do? And then obviously if you use certain types of chatterbots, you have to make sure that everything is very crystal clear to you. Don't just put it in there. Make sure everything is crystal clear. So that's a big point. It might hallucinate and it might give you the wrong results. So what's the lesson learned of today? That sometimes this AGI is very well equipped to take on very hard problems. And generative coding is one of the hardest problems in there. How do you do continuously? How do you do it in a division of agents? So I think I can imagine another big event coming out of this. You could have even a ACM programming contest where a supercomputer or a iPhone beats humans at the programming contest challenges. You have one computer doing the recognition of the algorithm, another one writing that pseudo algorithm on the computer, and the third one making sure it passes the test cases and fits the allotted time for processing. And then only then I'll be pretty sure that we have beaten the greatest coder. Get all the greatest coders involved and make another type of challenge, man versus machine challenge. So this is what I think. And I think this is going to be a very exciting time for coding. I mean, it's going to get hip again. And I think people will be watching on TV when the days of call for help on the days of this news and this week in tech are really really cool. But now we're going to get into having entertainment in the form of coding. So I think that's really cool. This is Shyamal Chandra with episode 2 for 2024, September 24th, 2024 on Generative Coding. Thank you. Bye-bye.